Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Connect and Convert, the Sales Accelerator Podcast, where small business owners come to learn insider secrets to growing sales faster than ever. I'm Dennis Collins. I'm joined, as always, by my lovely and talented partner. Hey, Leah. Leah Bumphrey.
Hey, Dennis. How you doing? I'm from Canada. We are excited to have summer upon us.
Summer upon you. That means it gets up to about 40 or 50 Fahrenheit. Yeah, something like that.
Oh, think Celsius, 40, 50 Celsius.
Oh,
maybe not. No, okay, not that hot. But yeah, we've got some blue sky and some nice weather.
Oh, that's nice. For the next couple of weeks, enjoy your summer.
That's us.
It'll soon be over, I'm sure. But anyway, hey, Leah, we have a great topic for today. I think a lot of our small business owners will be interested in this one. Leader, manager, or coach? When you're hiring, what's the difference? Are they all the same? Is a leader a manager and a coach? Or is a coach a manager and a leader? What's the difference? I always like to share some of my weakest moments, my vulnerabilities.
They're not weak. They're just learning opportunities. You're willing to share so everyone can.
I'll say that, boy. This was a big one. I had a key manager position open on my team.
Yep.
It was a sales manager. It was for my top station. I had 3, and this was the top biller, top ratings, top biller. So it was really important to get a great sales manager in for that team. They had a good sales manager, and she had to leave, unfortunately. So I was up against it.
No kidding.
I will tell you, I have never worked harder in my life on hiring the right candidate. Not that we always did background checks. We always did resume checks. We always did reference checks. That was par for the course. Yep. We always did 3 to 4 interviews in our building. I had my business manager would interview them. Maybe one of my program director managers would interview. So we had a 360 because they would ask questions that I wouldn't ask, and I would ask questions they wouldn't ask. So we put it all together, and we thought we had a pretty good picture.
Yeah, that would give you a good look.
Wouldn't you think? And I really thought I was hiring a leader. Okay, a leader with vision, direction, strategy. He checked out. 6 months, Leah.
Oh, no.
Disaster. I got fooled. Shame on me. Shame on me. It was expensive. My team looked at me like, you idiot. How could you hire this person? You told us you were hiring someone very special, a leader. That's not the guy. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not the guy. And so you really start double guessing yourself, double checking everything. You're second guessing yourself and say, what the heck could I have done to hire a better person? So are you facing that? Maybe you have that same question.
I've seen it happen. What I find interesting is it sounds like you did all the right things. You brought other people into this decision-making process.
We did.
It sounds like you were not hiring from within, so you had to check out external sources.
Was outside, yeah.
I have seen disasters when people actually hire with their gut as opposed to doing the hard work and actually doing the homework on the person and checking. So that is just always tragic because a waste of time and money. But you thought you were hiring a leader. Who were you hiring instead?
Well, I'm sorry to tell you this. He was incompetent.
Oh,
he was clearly not a leader. He wasn't even a manager or a coach. Okay. He wasn't any of the 3. And somehow he got through our mechanisms. He beat our system. So I beat myself up pretty good on that one. And unfortunately, we had to part ways and made another decision. But that's for another podcast. Today, I want to talk about leader, manager, coach. Why are these different? And how do we recognize in people who we're getting? And maybe first off, what is it that you need in that position? Because if you need a leader, there are certain criteria. If you need a manager, another set of criteria. And if you need a coach, yet another. So let's start with leader. Vision, direction, strategy, big picture thinking, charismatic, inspirational. Sounds almost godlike, right? Is there such a person out there? I don't know. Have you ever worked with for a good leader, Leah?
I have. And when you work for a good leader, it's someone who, in my mind, is all of those things and not afraid to pick up the shovel or show you how to do it, right?
Yeah.
They are with you in the trenches doing it and understand what it is you're doing.
But they're the inspirational, don't they? They get you fired up, don't they?
Yep.
They get you excited about the mission, the big picture. They're charismatic. All right, let's mention a name, Jeff Bezos. You know who Jeff Bezos is?
I do. Mr. Amazon himself.
There is a person known for his long-term thinking, obsession with customers, ability to rally his team around innovative ideas. This guy consistently communicates Amazon's vision. You know what that is? To be the Earth's most customer-centric company. He is that visionary, strategic, big picture, charismatic leader that rallies the troops. So what's a manager? I worked for a bunch of good managers, and I also had a lot of good managers working for me. I'm thinking of one guy right now, no names. This guy was an expert at planning and organizing, coordinating every task. He had deadlines. He had spreadsheets. He had every policy, every procedure, absolute compliance, accountable for results, accountable for attention to detail, heavy duty problem solving skills, maybe the best manager I've ever had working with me. I never worried about the details. Have you had a manager like that or worked with somebody like that?
I worked for a gentleman like that. And one thing that was very consistent, his desk had one piece of paper on it. What he was working on right then. He was a total administrative manager. He knew exactly what, when, spent the time, funneled it down, but I never saw his desk in disarray.
And same with the guy I'm thinking. It would be a mortal sin for him to have a stray piece of paper or something on his desk. Very organized. Tim Cook, Apple CEO, took over from Steve Jobs. Tough deal to take over from a charismatic, visionary leader like Jobs. But Cook is not that visionary leader. He is known for his operational expertise, supply chain, attention to detail. However, he has successfully managed the complex global operations of Apple by making sure their production policies are efficient and their delivery is efficient. So a manager can succeed as the lead, as the head of an organization. So let's drop to the last one, the coach. Did you play sports? I don't remember. Maybe you still do. Did you play sports in school?
A little bit, for sure. My kids, my now adult sons played a lot. And boy, they had some great coaches.
Boy, me too. I can recall my kids had some spectacular coaches. And you know what made those coaches so good? They inspired self-discovery. How good are you? It's in you. They focused on developing, empowering. They weren't there to tell you everything to do every minute. They were there to ask questions, to listen, to identify your strengths, weaknesses, areas for growth. But it was all about self-reflection, continuous learning, continuous improvement, feedback on performance. So
it's interesting. My middle son played on a high-level hockey team, and the coach once said to Sean and I that he was now working with Jonah at a level where Jonah would eat a skate for him. And I had to agree, because Jonah would. Had the coach told Jonah to eat, no, but had the coach told Jonah would, because he was playing for this guy. He felt the connection. It was like he was a brilliant coach. And yes, Jonah would have eaten a skate for him.
That's tough on the teeth. I don't know. I think we could agree on you may not know Ken Blanchard. Some people don't know Ken Blanchard. Do you?
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with his book. Yeah, 1 Minute Manager.
Well, he wrote probably 30 books, but his most famous one was The 1 Minute Manager.
Yeah.
And he's a renowned management expert, best-selling author. He is known for the coaching approach, the importance of goals, providing feedback, empowering, like your son, empowering them to take ownership of their own development. Brene Brown. Have you ever heard of Brene Brown? If you haven't, I highly encourage you. She has done a lot of research in the area of shame. She's she's a PhD researcher, professor, author, speaker. Vulnerability, courage, leadership, shame. She has studied that extensively. She's known for her ability to help individuals cultivate resilience, build trust. I highly recommend getting to know Brene Brown and her work. She's all over YouTube. She has TED Talks on everything. They're short, informative, excellent TED Talks. She's got about 10 books out, I think, maybe not quite 10, but she's got a lot of books out. She's worth reading if you're interested in learning how to be a great coach. So there we have it. The 3 different aspects of bringing someone in to help you run your company.
Here's a question, Dennis. I have a question for you. Trick question. Which is the best?
I will answer that question with what might sound like a non-answer to you. None of them is the best.
I agree.
Okay, none of them is the best. However, what I always tried to do is find someone who was good at all 3. Ooh. There are people that are good at all 3. There are leaders who are good managers and who are good coaches. There are coaches who are good leaders and good managers. It is rare. It is very rare. That's why I put these in 3 different buckets, because the first thing to identify is what is it that you need in that particular management position. Right. I'm thinking of a client right now who desperately needs a coach in a certain position, and they do not have that person. There's a mismatch.
Yep.
They have probably a manager, probably a pretty darn good manager, but not a leader and not a coach. Unfortunately, the needs of the organization would dictate that a coach would be able to do that job better than the other 2. Now, wouldn't it be nice if we had all 3 in one person? I bet the most successful person you've ever known in a business sense was all 3. Maybe not perfect in all 3. Probably not fair to ask you to conjure that person up just on the spur of the moment. But I'm thinking of people in my past that said they did all 3.
Yeah.
When I needed coaching, they gave me coaching. When I needed to be managed, when I needed accountability and management, I got that. And when I needed a vision, give me a vision, inspire me. Where are we headed? I got that.
Dennis, what you're describing should be most small business owners when they're first getting going, when they're hiring their team, when they're getting going. They need to be all these things, and then you can start hiring those positions. That's why wizardacademy.org is so important, because it helps you define what your vision for your business is. What is your wheelhouse? What are you really good at? And what do you need help with? Because, at the beginning, you need to be all of them. Chief cook and bottle washer. But if your business is going to grow, you need to be able to identify what areas do you need help with. And wizardacademy.org is the place to do it.
No doubt. And what I like what you said about which one are you? The owner founder of a business doesn't have some magical powers that all of a sudden they can do all 3 perfectly.
Yep.
Which one are you? Are you the leader? Are you the coach? Are you the manager? Okay, maybe you have 2 of those.
Boomer sliding in here.
I knew it. I knew producer Paul would be in on this.
You're waiting for that.
I knew it. I'm surprised it took you so long.
Looking for the perfect spot. But I know who you're talking about in terms of they really need a coach. how do they find these coaches or leaders or mixes and such? Or is that another podcast? That can be a whole nother thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
That could be a book.
Why not? Why are we? Yes.
Why not?
I'm writing it down.
Wow. I have some very strong ideas about why the typical interviewing process that we use in, I don't know how it's done in Canada, probably very similar to the States.
Yeah.
Sucks. It's awful. We really don't uncover what we need to uncover. So again, even though I made this huge mistake with this person I pointed out earlier, that forced me to change my ways. And I did change my ways. I have a different set of questions for each one of those modalities. If I want to find out how good you are as a coach, I ask questions that bring that out. And you, Professor Boomer, you know that better than anyone. There are assessments, there are questions, there are ways to find that out. Would you not agree?
Oh, by far. Most definitely. There are every mixture that you want or don't want. There are specific questions, great questions that bring out certain things, especially when it comes down to value-based questions.
And I'm a big believer, as you guys know, in social styles. And I can tell you pretty much from the person's social style whether or not they will be at which one of the three they'll be pretty good at. Now, they can fool you. There are some people who are highly versatile and can operate in all three of those areas. But your social style predicts in a very strong way, particularly coaching. There are certain social styles that are awful coaches. Awful. Yep. And can they break out of that? Yeah. Versatility, if they're versatile.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say, so I'm going to derail this whole conversation because we're already over time. So I'm going to just, So how about this? I'm going to write this down and we're going to have another discussion about this, I think, in the future, because I think it's such a big thing because as Leah said, there are many times when, especially when you're at the beginning of a business, an operation, you evolve from needing one type to another, and then you have a team. So I think this is such a big topic that needs to be discussed. I'm going to write that down for future references so that we come back to it. So I'm going to now back out of here and let the two of you have your conversation.
All right. Well, thanks for jumping in, Boomer.
Yeah,
I know this is an area that's near and dear to your heart, so I appreciate your contribution. I don't know, other than just to sum up what we've talked about, I think there's been a lot of interesting ideas put forth here, particularly about knowing who you are, knowing what your business needs. And then, as Paul points out, how do you find those people?
Absolutely. And just even as a salesperson, recognizing if you're in a sales position, what is it that you need? And are you in a position to ask the person, your person that, for that, I need more coaching. I need more pushing. I need more. What is it that you need to get to the next level? And that is, I think that's a challenge for all of our listeners this week, all our listeners and viewers. What is it that you need as a business owner, as somebody actually working in the trenches in a sales position, as someone who is wanting to get into a sales position?
True.
What do you need?
I think it all starts, Leah, with self-assessment. Who are you? And we have ways. Paul has ways. I have ways. There are things we can do to help you find out what kind of a leader you are. Are you a manager type leader? Are you a coach? Are you a leader? Okay. Take advantage of those things. Find out a little bit about who you are, and then take a hard look at your business. And the question is, what do you need? What is it particularly that you can't bring, that is difficult for you to bring, that you need someone else to help you bring? Isn't that the name of the game?
And personal responsibility, right? What am I willing to throw into the pot here so that we get some good soup happening?
Wow. We got at least one or two more episodes on this topic. This is a deep topic. Boy, I didn't realize what can of worms I was opening when we... It's not a simple discussion.
We'll be back. We'll be back, Dennis.
We will be back. But for today, that's it for this episode of Connect and Convert. See you next week.